In the third trimester of pregnancy, I decided to divorce Li Jing-sen. While signing the agreement, he suddenly could hear the thoughts of the twins in my womb. Brother, this wicked woman is pretending to be weak again. She deliberately pushed Mom down and wants to frame someone else. My blind father fell for it again. Feeling so heartbroken for her, he thought his white moonlight was the savior who rescued him. But in fact, it was my mom who saved him back then. This woman stole my mom's identity just to covet our Lee family's fortune and support her gigolo outside. Serves my father right. He ended up being schemed against by them, losing his company and even breaking his leg. Only my foolish mother sold her jewelry to take care of him in the hospital. Mom, run. Forget this idiot dad. The three of us can rely on each other. I couldn't hear his thoughts, and originally thought he would nervously help his first love up, leaving me heartbroken. But instead, he pushed his first love to the ground with icy eyes. My child and wife. How dare you touch them? Me, 01. You, Jing-sen. What are you doing? Su-wana lay on the ground, clutching her wrist, tears streaming down her face like broken pearls as she looked pitifully at Li Jing-sen. I just wanted to support my sister. She's about to give birth, and standing is too exhausting. I watched her performance coldly, feeling nothing but numbness inside. Again, the same old story. It's always like this. Whenever there's any sign of reconciliation between me and Li Jing-sen, Su-wana immediately appears. With her consummate acting skills, she effortlessly stirs up our already fragile marriage. I'm tired. I reached for the divorce papers on the table, just wanting to end this farce as quickly as possible. But Li Jing-sen's hand was faster than mine, pressing down on that document. He didn't even glance at Su-wana again. Those eyes that had always looked at me with impatience and detachment were now locked onto me fiercely, swirling with turbulent emotions I couldn't comprehend. Oh, so the blind father finally opened his eyes. Great push. Do it again. Let her learn why flowers bloom so red. Mom, look. Dumb dad seems to have his IQ online. I can't hear. I only see his hand pressing on the divorce agreement, his knuckles turning white from the force. I thought he didn't want to divorce. It was for Su-wana. For the white moonlight in his heart, punishing me, the troublesome Mrs. Lee. My heart sank completely to the bottom. Li Jing-sen, that's enough. I spoke wearily, my voice hoarse. Let go, I'll leave with nothing. His body trembled, the storm in his eyes seeming to grow fiercer. What nonsense are you saying? His voice carried an unmistakable tremor of panic. Mom, don't be afraid. If he dares to bully you, we'll hack his company. Brother, take it easy. We're still in Mom's belly and can't access the internet. Oh, right. Then after we're born, we'll Photoshop all his handsome photos into pig heads. Li Jing-sen's face kept changing colors, alternating between pale and flushed, as if he was struggling to hold back laughter, or perhaps he was simply furious. He released the agreement and instead grabbed my wrist tightly. Come home with me. His grip was strong, yet he carefully avoided my swollen belly. I was half forced to follow as he pulled me outside. Jing-sen. Su-wana's sharp voice rang out behind him. My foot. I think I've sprained my foot. It hurts so much. In the past, Li Jing-sen would have immediately turned around and rushed to her side in a panic, but this time, he merely paused mid-step without turning his head. My driver is waiting outside. His voice was as cold as ice. He'll take Miss Su to the hospital. As for the medical expenses, I'll have my assistant settle them all. From now on, don't ever appear before my wife again. After speaking, he took my hand and without the slightest hesitation, walked out of that suffocating cafe. Su-wana remained seated, her fragile and pained expression instantly freezing into one of shock and ferocity. I was shoved into the car by Li Jing-sen, who leaned over to fasten my seatbelt with a gentleness I had never seen before. The car drove off smoothly. I gaze at the receding street scenes outside the window, feeling as though everything is utterly unreal. Li Jing-sen, what on earth happened? 02, sit still. Don't move. As soon as we got home, Li Jing-sen treated me like a rare treasure, carefully settling me onto the sofa. Then, he started bustling about. He poured hot water, fetched cushions, and even dug out some pregnancy snacks, arranging them one by one in front of me. I frowned at him. This overly attentive demeanor felt unfamiliar to me, even unsettling. Now you know how to be attentive. Too late. Exactly. Did he ever care once during all those months Mom carried us? Auntie Liu was the one who took care of Mom's morning sickness while he was busy stargazing with that wretched woman. Scumbag. Damn it. Li Jingsen's hand holding the water cup suddenly trembled, spilling a few drops of hot water onto the back of his hand, instantly scalding it red. Yet he seemed oblivious to the pain, simply staring fixedly at me, his eyes filled with guilt and heartache. "I'm sorry," he said hoarsely. "I neglected you before." I lowered my eyelashes and remained silent. Can a simple "I'm sorry" erase all the harm? During my worst bouts of morning sickness, when I was vomiting uncontrollably, he was busy celebrating with Su Wanna over her securing a minor project collaboration. I had leg cramps in the middle of the night and couldn't sleep from the pain. When I called him, it was Su Wanna who answered. In a sickly sweet voice, she said, "Jing Sen drank too much and is already asleep." The days and nights of disappointment and heartbreak had long since drained away all my passion. "Li Jing Sen," I said calmly, "let's talk about divorce." "No divorce," he practically shouted it out. After shouting, he immediately softened his tone, carrying a hint of pleading. "Let's not get divorced." "Okay, I was an idiot. I was blind before. Give me another chance." "Oh, so you do realize you're blind. Just talking won't do anything. You need to take real action. That wicked woman hasn't been dealt with yet. She definitely won't let this go." "Exactly, that pretty boy she's keeping outside. What's his name again?" "Seems like it's Chen Hao, a fitness trainer." Every single cent that Chen Hao spends was swindled from our Li family. Li Jingsen's pupils suddenly contracted. He took out his phone, his fingers swiftly tapping on the screen as if sending a message to someone. I watched his movements, sneering inwardly. "Dealing with Su Wanna's mess again, aren't you?" Still comforting his white moonlight, I stood up, not wanting to see this glaring scene anymore. "I'm tired and want to go back to my room to rest." He immediately put away his phone and nervously followed me. "Let me help you." "No need." I shook off his hand and walked straight to the bedroom. He froze in place, his tall figure under the light appearing somewhat helpless and lonely. I closed the door, shutting him out. Leaning against the door, I slowly slid down to sit on the floor, tears finally unable to hold back and falling. Why give me this tiny bit of false tenderness just when I'm about to give up? "Li Jingsen, what exactly do you want?" 03. The next day, when I woke up, Li Jingsen was already gone from home. "Fine. Saves us from mutual disgust." I was just about to ask Aunt Liu to prepare breakfast when the doorbell rang. Aunt Liu opened the door, and standing outside was Li Jingsen's assistant, Xiao Zhong. "Madam." Xiao Zhong respectfully handed me a document folder. "This is what Mr. Li asked me to deliver to you." I took it with confusion. Upon opening it, I found a thick stack of documents inside. On top was an intimate photo of Su Wanna and an unfamiliar man. The man in the photo had a muscular build. Exactly the type of popular fitness trainer nowadays. Beneath the photo were detailed records about that man. Chen Hao, 28 years old, unemployed, yet owns luxury cars and mansions, with all funds traced back to a single account, and the owner of that account is Su Wanna. What shocked me even more was what followed. It was a jewelry design competition I participated in 3 years ago. At that time, my design draft was accused of plagiarism, which ruined my reputation and completely ended my career as a designer. Now, this document clearly records that Su Wanna bribed my assistant at the time, stole my design draft, registered the copyright ahead of me, and then falsely accused me of plagiarism. The document also includes the assistant's handwritten confession and bank transfer records. The evidence is irrefutable. My hands trembled slightly as I held the document. It turns out that the ruin of my career was no accident, but Su Wanna's carefully calculated scheme. But why would she do this? Just because I married Li Jingsen? At that moment, Li Jingsen walked in through the door, his steps hurried and a light sweat on his forehead. "Did you see everything?" He walked up to me, tension evident in his voice. I looked up at him. My gaze complicated. "So what?" I asked. "What are you trying to prove by showing me all this?" "Proof that you've finally realized she's not the pure white lotus you imagined." My words choked him, leaving a bitter expression on his face. "I'm sorry." He apologized again. "It was my poor judgment that caused you so much pain. I promise it will never happen again." He reached out, wanting to touch my face. I turned my head away. Hurt, more than just hurt. That was the malice that destroyed my entire dream. I looked at him and asked, word by word, I can overlook all of this. Li Jing-sen, I just want to ask you one thing. Back then on the snowy mountain, was it her who saved you? This is the biggest sticking point between us. It is the root of all his indulgence and guilt towards Suwana. It is an act of saving grace he can never repay. As long as this fact exists, Suwana will always hold a special place in his heart, and I will always be an outsider. Li Jing-sen fell silent. His silence was like a heavy hammer, smashing hard into my heart. I laughed until tears streamed down my face. See, this is the answer, in his heart. Suwana remained that irreplaceable lifesaver. My heart was completely dead. Let's get a divorce. 04. The one who saved me wasn't her. As I turned away, Li Jingsen's voice came clearly from behind me. I paused mid-step, thinking I must have imagined it. Dumb dad finally gets it. Hurry up and speak. Show the evidence now. I'm dying of anxiety. Mom is about to leave. If you don't say it now, we'll become kids from a single-parent family. Quick. Take out that protective jade pendant you've been treasuring. Mom made it with her own hands. Li Jing-sen walked around to stand in front of me, his expression more solemn and urgent than I'd ever seen before. He carefully pulled out something wrapped in velvet from the inner pocket of his suit. Layer by layer, he unfolded it. Inside lay a somewhat aged piece knot. The red braided cord had faded, but the concentric knot on it had a very unique pattern. I figured out the weaving method myself. My mind went blank with a sudden buzz. 5 years ago, during my graduation trip from university, I was sketching in the snowy mountains. I encountered a blizzard and a man who was also trapped. He was running a high fever at the time and was delirious. I took care of him for 2 days and 2 nights, giving him all the food and water I had. On the way down the mountain, I accidentally fell, and this piece knot I had woven myself, intended as a gift for my future husband, was lost in the snow. Later, I heard that Li Jing-sen, the heir of the Li family, had been rescued by a kind-hearted girl after encountering danger in the snowy mountains. Later on, I became Li Jing-sen's wife. Everyone said I was lucky, but only I knew that Li Jing-sen married me merely for a family alliance. The one he truly cherished in his heart was his savior, Suwana. I had always thought that the person I saved back then was just an ordinary hiker. I never imagined that person would be Li Jing-sen. Even less did I think my identity would be stolen by Suwana. This safety knot, Li Jing-sen's voice trembled. I had it checked. The weaving technique is unique to your grandmother's hometown. In the entire city of no more than 3 people know how to make it, and Suwana, she's not even from there. He raised his eyes, gazing at me with a burning intensity, filled with remorse, relief, and the overwhelming joy of something lost and found again. So, it was you who saved me back then. Lin Shi, it's always been you. I stared blankly at him. At that peace buckle, the truth exploded in my mind like a thunderbolt. So, I wasn't the one who came between them. The person he wanted to repay was actually me all along. All the misunderstandings and barriers between us stemmed from a carefully orchestrated deception. I always thought he didn't love me, but he just loved the wrong person. I covered my mouth as tears flooded down. All the cold treatment and grievances I endured over the years found their outlet in this moment. It's not that I don't love you, I just mistook someone else for you. This realization snapped the heartstrings I had kept taut for 3 years. Everything went black before my eyes, and I completely lost consciousness. 05. When I woke up again, I was already in the VIP ward of the hospital. Li Jing-sen was guarding by the bedside. His eyes filled with red streaks, and stubble had begun to show on his chin. Seeing me awake, he immediately leaned over nervously. "You're awake. Are you feeling any discomfort?" "Mom's awake. Scared me to death. Stupid dad kinda made up for it by staying up all day and night." That's more like it, otherwise we'd really abandon him. Li Jingsen's expression became slightly complicated upon hearing the baby's inner thoughts. He took my hand and gently kissed it against his lips. "The doctor said you fainted because you were too emotionally overwhelmed and exhausted from the late stage of pregnancy. The babies are doing well." When he said the word babies, his tone was filled with a peculiar tenderness and reverence. I looked at him with mixed emotions. The truth came to light, but the wounds inflicted couldn't be easily healed with just a simple "I'm sorry, Li Jing-sen." I withdrew my hand. Suwana. How do you plan to handle this?" I looked at him calmly. "This is my pledge of allegiance, and also my test. If he still harbors even a shred of pity for Suwana, then it's truly over between us. Li Jingsen's eyes instantly turned cold. She impersonated you and deceived me for 5 years. She schemed against you and ruined your career. She even plotted to seize the Li family's fortune, and wanted our lives. With each word he spoke, the chill around him grew heavier. Yes, in the end. My father was driven to bankruptcy and had his legs broken by her and that pretty boy working together. That woman is utterly vicious. Hearing this, the murderous intent in Li Jingsen's eyes nearly overflowed. I won't let her get away with this, he said resolutely. She and that Chen Hao embezzled public funds and engaged in insider trading. I've already had the legal team prepare the evidence. They'll spend the rest of their lives behind bars. Hearing this outcome, the heavy stone that had weighed on my heart for years finally lifted. I looked at him, this man whom I've loved and resented for so many years. Now, he's finally opened his eyes and returned to me. Li Jingsen. The divorce agreement. I paused. Let's put it aside for now. He froze for a moment. And then overwhelming joy swept over him. He pulled me into a tight embrace, his arms wrapping around me with such force that it felt like he wanted to press me into his very bones. Thank you, my love. His voice choked with emotion, warm tears falling onto the nape of my neck. Yay, Mom and Dad made up. I told you so. Dummy Dad can still be saved. Then after we come out, should we be nicer to him? Depends on his performance. I leaned against his chest, listening to his strong heartbeat and feeling the excitement of our babies in my belly. I couldn't help but laugh. Perhaps I should give this foolish dad and our family a chance. 06. Jingsen, please. Can you see me one more time? Suwana's phone call came through. As expected, Li Jingsen put it on speakerphone, his icy male voice devoid of any warmth. There's nothing left for us to discuss. No, Jingsen, please listen to me. None of it is what you think. It's Lin Shi. She framed me. Suwana's voice was sharp and frenzied. She's jealous of me. She's jealous that you're good to me. That's why she fabricated all that evidence. I sat to the side, leisurely peeling an apple, and nearly burst out laughing at her words. Is this woman insane? Still trying to shift the blame onto my mom at this point? Has her brain been kicked by a donkey? Li Jingsen glanced at me, his gaze filled with reassurance and a hint of doting. He let out a cold laugh toward the phone. Forgery, Suwana. Do you take me for a fool? Every single transfer record between you and Chen Hao, every hotel booking. Did you really think you could erase all traces? And 5 years ago on Snow Mountain, you didn't even know what brand of jacket I was wearing. How dare you claim you were the one who saved me? Dead silence fell on the other end of the line. After a long while, Suwana finally spoke in a voice filled with venom, as if crawling out from the depths of hell. Li Jingsen, don't you dare regret this. Do you really think those things alone are enough to convict me? Let me tell you, the people behind me are not someone you can afford to provoke. With that, she hung up the phone. I frowned. The person behind her, it's her godfather, a real estate developer surnamed Huang. That old lecher has long coveted our Li family's real estate business. Suwana was just a pawn he planted by my father's side. They planned to collaborate from within and without to swallow up the Li Corporation. Hearing this, Li Jingsen's expression darkened completely. He immediately dialed his assistant Xiaozhong's phone. Investigate a real estate developer surnamed Huang, who has close ties to Suwana. Dig up all his dirty secrets. I want him to never have a chance to rise again. After hanging up the phone, he looked at me with profound eyes. Don't be afraid, I'm here. I nodded and handed him the peeled apple. I'm not afraid. I knew that from now on, we were teammates fighting side by side. A storm of bloodshed in the business world was about to begin. But this time, I'm no longer fighting alone. I looked at the man beside me, his sharp profile, focused and cold. He was no longer that fool blinded by his first love. He is the father of my child. My husband is the guardian deity of our home. 07. Li Jingsen acted swiftly. 3 days later, the financial news in City A exploded. Huangsha Real Estate suspected of tax evasion and illegal fundraising. Chairman Huang Defa has been taken away by police for investigation. In the news footage, the real estate tycoon, who was still full of vigor yesterday, now wore handcuffs, his face ashen, as he was escorted by police into a patrol car. Behind him, a screen looped intimate photos of him with different women in various settings. The most striking among them was a group photo with Suwana at a yacht party. Suwana, clad in a revealing bikini, coiled around Huang Defa like a seductive serpent. Wow, what a massive social suicide. This old pervert is done for. And Suwana won't get away either. My dad's move of cutting the ground from under their feet was brilliantly executed. Li Jingsen turned off the TV and came to sit beside me. It's all settled. His tone was calm, as if he had merely handled some trivial matter. But I knew how much effort he had put in these past few days to bring down someone as deeply rooted as Huang Defa. I picked up the remote and switched to a prenatal music channel. Where is Suwana? I asked. Huang Defa has fallen. And she's lost her biggest backer. Li Jingsen picked up the bowl of bird's nest soup in front of me, stirred it with a spoon, tested its temperature, and then brought it to my lips. The case of her and Chen Hao embezzling public funds is ironclad. The trial begins next week. They face at least a decade-long prison sentence. I open my mouth and swallow the bird's nest he feeds me, sweet and warm. It reaches straight to my heart. That's good. An era has come to a complete end. The era belonging to Suwana. Next comes a new era, one that belongs to me, Li Jingsen, and our babies. The hospital room door was knocked. Aunt Liu pushed the door open and entered, followed by two men dressed in suits. Sir, madam, the Su family has arrived. I exchanged a glance with Li Jingsen. It's here, Suwana's parents. That pair of parents who considered selling their daughter their lifelong career, Jingsen. As soon as Su's mother entered, she rushed towards Li Jingsen, ready to put on a show of tears, tantrums, and threats. Li Jingsen calmly sidestepped, causing her to miss her target and nearly stumble. Auntie, please maintain your dignity. His tone was distant. I have no relationship whatsoever with your daughter, Mr. Su supported his wife. Looking at Li Jingsen with deep disappointment. Jingsen, how can you be so heartless? Wana has been with you for 5 years. After all, have you forgotten how much she has sacrificed for you these 5 years? What did you sacrifice? Your time sleeping around, or your energy chasing after young men outside? These two old things have thicker skin than city walls. Li Jingsen's expression grew even colder because of the baby's thoughts. I put down the book in my hand and spoke slowly. Mr. Su, Mrs. Su, have you forgotten who it was that accepted the $5 million check from the Li family and personally promised to keep your daughter away from Li Jingsen? 08. The faces of Su's parents instantly turned deathly pale. You. What nonsense are you talking about? Mother Su pointed at me, her fingers trembling. When did we ever take money from the Li family? I laughed. Never took any. I looked at Li Jingsen. Honey. I remember you have a recording, don't you? Li Jingsen nodded cooperatively, took out his phone, and pretended to play it. Don't. Father Su grabbed his hand in a panic, breaking out in a cold sweat. Let's talk this out properly. Let's talk this out properly. Jingsen, Miss Lin. He put on a fawning smile. We know it's Wana's fault. She was blinded by greed and offended Miss Lin. But she's still young after all. You're magnanimous people. Please forgive her this once. We promise we'll discipline her properly from now on. Spare her, so she can come out and harm others again. Dream on. People like her should spend their whole lives stepping on sewing machines in prison. I spoke slowly. Spare her. Sure. The Su parents' eyes lit up. Li Jingsen also looked at me with some confusion. I gently stroked my belly, smiling tenderly. As long as you can turn back time and return the 3 years she destroyed for me. Make her personally experience all the grievances I suffered because of her, I'll consider sparing her. The smiles on the Su parents' faces froze. This can't be possible. Yes, I said, my smile fading bit by bit. That's impossible. So, what gives you the right to ask me to forgive her? Is your daughter a treasure? While my career and life deserve to be trampled by her, my voice wasn't loud, but every word struck deep. The Su parents were left speechless by my words. Their faces alternating between green and pale. Get lost. Li Jingsen coldly spat out a single word. Get away from my wife immediately, before I call security. The Su family parents still wanted to say something, but under Li Jingsen's icy gaze, they eventually slunk away in defeat. The hospital room finally returned to silence. Li Jingsen walked over to me and gently pulled me into his embrace. You've worked hard. He kissed my forehead. That was really cool just now. He made me laugh. Mom is amazing. Her fighting power is off the charts. This is the true mistress of our Lee family. So domineering. From now on, if anyone dares to bully Mom, we'll have Dad set the dogs on them." Listening to the baby's thoughts, Lee Jingsen's smile grew wider and deeper. He lowered his head, looking at my belly with eyes so tender they could melt water. "You two little rascals sure know how to flatter," he said. I froze. "Who are you talking to?" Lee Jingsen was also stunned. "Did he just slip up?" 09. The atmosphere froze for a brief moment. Lee Jingsen looked at me, his eyes flickering with an extremely vivid expression. "Oops, seems like Dumb Daddy got exposed. He can actually hear us talking." Since when? It was the day he signed the divorce agreement. He suddenly gained the ability. Otherwise, why do you think his IQ suddenly went online? So that's it. No wonder he suddenly changed his ways. Me, although I couldn't hear. Just by watching the ever-changing expressions on Lee Jingsen's face, I could guess most of it. I pointed at my belly, then at him. "You can hear." Lee Jingsen fell silent. This expression was tantamount to an admission. I took a deep breath, trying to digest this fantastical truth. My husband could hear the thoughts of our unborn twins, a boy and a girl, and my babies. It seems they know everything. So, I struggled to speak. "You suddenly being nice to me isn't because you've had an epiphany, but because you heard their thoughts. You know the whole truth." Lee Jingsen looked at me, his face filled with desperation to survive. "Not entirely," he explained urgently. "I admit, at first it was because I heard their inner thoughts that I realized how terribly wrong I was. But Linshi, my feelings for you are real. He struggled to find the words. "I've liked you for a long time. It's just that I thought I loved the person who saved me." TSK. Starting to confess now, that's so cringy. But somehow, I feel a little touched. What's going on? The babies, through Lee Jingsen's expressions, and Lee Jingsen himself have me torn between laughing and crying. This world is truly amazing. "Do you like me?" I raised an eyebrow. "What do you like about me? Do you like that I'm as dull as wood, always submitting to everything? Or do you like that I never cause you trouble, making way for you and your white moonlight?" Lee Jingsen was left speechless by my retort, his handsome face flushing crimson. He stammered for a long time but couldn't come up with a proper explanation. In the end, he could only look pleadingly at my belly, as if saying, "My dear little ancestors, help me explain this. Brother, Dad seems to be asking us for help. Ignore him. Let him figure it out himself. Can't even say what he likes about his mom. How lame." Lee Jingsen's face darkened even more. Seeing him so frustrated and helpless, the last bit of gloom in my heart dissipated like mist. I reached out and pinched his cheek. "All right, I won't tease you anymore. For the sake of the babies, I'll forgive you this time. But," I changed my tone, "while the death penalty is waived, living punishment is unavoidable. From today onward, you'll be the exclusive servant for us three, mother and children, on call anytime, never complain, any questions." Lee Jingsen was stunned for a moment. Then a radiant smile bloomed across his face. He nodded vigorously, like a golden retriever who'd just been given a bone. "No problem, mission guaranteed." 10. Since Lee Jingsen was exposed, the atmosphere in our home has become somewhat bizarre. For example, I craved the sour and spicy noodles from that shop in the southern part of the city late at night. Before I could even say anything, I merely thought about it in my mind. I really want sour and spicy noodles, the kind with extra numbing spice, extra heat, and extra vinegar. Mom wants to eat. Dad, go buy it now. The next second, Lee Jingsen, who had been sleeping soundly beside me, would immediately spring up from the bed. "Honey, you're craving sour and spicy noodles. I'll go get them right away." Then, without caring that it was 3 a.m., he'd throw on his clothes and rush out. For example, during prenatal checkups, the doctor said I'm a bit iron deficient. I haven't had time to figure out how to supplement it yet. To replenish iron, eat more pork liver and spinach, but pork liver tastes too gamey, and spinach is too bitter. Mom doesn't like eating them. What should we do then? The baby needs nutrition. Stupid dad. Think of something quickly. It's time to show your worth. So, that very evening, a bowl of pork liver and spinach soup appeared on our dining table, rich in color, aroma, and taste, completely free of any fishy or bitter flavors. Lee Jingsen, with dark circles under his eyes, looked at me eagerly, as if seeking praise. I consulted a Michelin 3-star chef and spent the whole afternoon researching before I could make this. Try it, I guarantee it's delicious. Such things are too numerous to count. Li Jing-sen has almost become a mind reader for me and the babies. No. He's even more powerful than a tapeworm. He became the exclusive wish-fulfilling machine for me and the babies, from initial shock to gradual acceptance, and now, I've grown completely comfortable with it. The employees of Li Corporation noticed their CEO had changed. The once cold-hearted workaholic who lived only for his job has transformed into a devoted family man who leaves work on time every day and never works overtime on weekends. All meetings are scheduled for the morning whenever possible. He declines all social engagements that can be avoided. For the occasional ones that can't be refused, he takes me along. Then, under the astonished gazes of numerous business partners, he peeled shrimp for me, served me dishes, and took care of me meticulously. Someone joked privately that President Li must have been cursed. Upon hearing this, Li Jing-sen simply smiled faintly. I'm just making up for the mistakes I've made in the past. My wife and child are more important than any business. When these words reached my ears, my heart felt as if soaked in warm water, softening beyond measure. The due date was drawing nearer. My belly had grown as big as a ball, and moving around became increasingly difficult. Li Jing-sen simply moved all his work back home, staying by my side without leaving for a moment. One evening, as I gently stroked my belly, feeling the occasional fetal movements inside, I softly asked him, Li Jing-sen, when they're born, will you still be able to hear? Li Jing-sen was massaging my swollen calves when he heard this, and his movements paused abruptly. He looked up at me with gentle eyes. I don't know, but it's okay if you can't hear anymore, because now, I've learned to listen with my heart. He took my hand and placed it over his heart. Listen here, everything said here is, I love you. 11. The labor pains came suddenly in the middle of the night. Li Jing-sen was even more nervous than I was. His hands were shaking as he carried me to the hospital. The entire hospital was stirred into action. The best team of obstetricians and midwives has long been ready and waiting. I was wheeled into the delivery room, but Li Jing-sen insisted on accompanying me during childbirth, which I firmly refused. Go. Mom, we're about to meet soon. Brother, I'm a bit nervous. Is that silly dad outside reliable? Don't worry, he's booked out the entire hospital. With top-tier equipment and doctors from around the world, if he dares to be unreliable, we'll tear him apart once we're out. Li Jing-sen stood outside the delivery room, listening to the baby's thoughts, alternating between tears and laughter like someone with a split personality. The nurses around him looked at him as if he were insane. The birthing process was arduous, but I felt filled with strength, because I knew, outside the door, there were people I loved guarding me, inside my belly. 2 little lives were cheering me on. I don't know how long it lasted, but with 2 loud cries, the world finally fell silent. Congratulations, Mr. Li and Mrs. Li, it's a pair of very healthy twins. A boy and a girl. I lay on the bed drenched in sweat, watching as the nurse carried over 2 wrinkled little bundles, and tears instantly welled up in my eyes. Li Jing-sen rushed in. He first looked at me to make sure I was okay, then with trembling hands, he turned to look at the 2 babies, gently. He touched the little boy's face. Who's this big guy? He's quite handsome. Li Jing-sen froze. He heard it. He could actually still hear. He reached out to touch the girl's small hand again. Brother, he touched me. Is he that stupid dad? Seems like it. Looks a bit dumber than imagined. Li Jing-sen. This business tycoon, who had just experienced the most tense moment of his life, now wore an expression that could only be described as spectacularly vivid. He looked at me, then at the 2 children, his face filled with confusion that seemed to say, who am I? Where am I? Why has my life turned out this way? Seeing him like this, I couldn't help but laugh out loud. Welcome to our new world, Mr. Li. Snapping out of his daze, he looked at me and smiled too. He walked over, bent down, and planted a deep kiss on my forehead. Welcome, my little ancestors, and thank you too, my wife. From then on, his life included not just me, his wife, but also 2 bullet screen commentators who could deliver sharp critiques at any moment. I think his future days will be very, very lively. 12. 1 year later, Daddy, Clumsy, their daughter, Li Xinyu, who had just learned to speak, pointed at Li Jingsen fumbling clumsily with the diaper and uttered those two words in her sweet, childish voice. Sis is right, he even put the diaper on backwards. What an idiot. Their son Li Muse, who had already mastered crawling, sat nearby nodding solemnly in his heart. Li Jingsen, he took a deep breath, reminding himself, the child was his own flesh and blood, he couldn't just abandon him. He fumbled to change the diaper, picked up his daughter, and plastered a pleading smile on his face. Yeah, Daddy isn't stupid. Daddy loves Yaya the most. Li Xinyu completely ignored him, turning her head to stretch out her little hands toward me. Mommy, hold me. I smiled and took our daughter from his arms. Li Jingsen looked at our son with a defeated expression, trying to salvage some dignity from him. Muzha, come to Daddy. Li Muzha glanced at him, then silently crawled to my other side and hugged my leg. I don't want to play with idiots. Li Jingsen was utterly petrified. Ever since these two little ancestors were born, his status at home had plummeted. After they learned to talk, it became even more unbearable, speaking the cutest words with their mouth, while cursing the harshest in their heart. Yet, only he could hear it. This resulted in our daily life being filled with all sorts of dramatic scenes. For example, Li Jingsen would be conducting an international video conference, negotiating with foreign partners with a stern face. The son and daughter were playing right at his feet. Dad looks so pretentious like this. Yeah, last night he was still hiding in Mom's arms because he was scared of thunder. On the other end of the video call, their esteemed business partner, President Li, could be seen with his expression instantly cracking and his ears turning visibly red. For example, on my birthday, Li Jingsen meticulously prepared a candlelit dinner and 999 roses. He knelt on one knee, gazing at me with deep affection. Honey, I love you. Wow. What a cliché scene. That's exactly what he said last year. Nothing new at all. A vein twitched at Li Jingsen's temple, but he persisted in completing the procedure. He took out the diamond necklace he had prepared. This necklace isn't even as nice as the one Mom bought herself at the auction last time. Dad's taste is really hard to describe. Li Jingsen. That night, he locked himself in the study and spent the entire night poring over a pile of jewelry designs. Although life was always turned upside down by these two little troublemakers, but Li Jingsen found sweetness in it. He had missed me for 5 years. Now, he wants to make up for it with all the remaining time he has. At night, the two little ones finally fell asleep. Li Jingsen hugged me from behind, resting his chin on my shoulder. Darling, they said in their hearts today that you're the gentlest and most beautiful mother in the world. I laughed. What about you? I asked. What did they say about you? Li Jingsen fell silent for a moment, then said somewhat aggrievedly, they say I'm a lucky fool, that marrying you used up all my luck. I turned around and kissed him on the lips. They're absolutely right. You really are a lucky fool. And I'm incredibly fortunate to have my foolish husband and 2 adorable little commentators. Our life as a family of 4 still has a long way to go, but I believe every day will be sunny and bright.